So for the jumper, I have used, or I'm going to use rather, Knitco Aran Country yarn. They come in big 800-gram balls, and I have used this in two colors. This light grey and then a darker grey that kind of matches this hoodie. But to start off the project, you are going to need to take a measurement from shoulder tip to shoulder tip, and I'm going to insert an image here, and that is where you need to measure from. Now with that measurement, you will then need to convert that into stitches. So you will need to create as many chains as you need to reach that measurement. So for me, my measurement was 55 centimeters. So I am going to chain until I reach 55 centimeters. For me, that's going to be, I think it was 81 stitches. But then I needed to be a multiple of 4, so I increased to 84. So chain until you've reached the measurement across your shoulders, and once you've got that, make sure that your number is divisible by 4. If it's not, increase it by however many chains you need until your number is divisible by 4. So I need 84 chains. I'm going to get that done and I will come back to you. Okay, so I have got my chain of 84. So also, I wanted to apologize for the state of my hands. I helped my partner dye his beard last night, and I stupidly didn't wear gloves. So now I have hands that look constantly dirty. So I promise they're clean, they're just dyed. Anyway, back to our project. So once you've got the right number of chains you need for yourself, like I said, for me, my measurement from the shoulder to shoulder was 55 centimeters. For me, I needed 84 chains to start. So we're going to jump right in. And I didn't mention this before, but I am using a 5mm hook. This hook was handmade by my friend Kelly. Her Etsy shop is Bee Loves Me. Go and check it out. She makes some beautiful things. She also made this coaster. It's a resin coaster. Their eyes move. It's so freaking cute. I love it. Absolutely love it. Highly recommend. Go and check out her shop. Right. So back to our project. Now your front panel and your back panel are exactly the same. So what we do here, you're going to do twice to make sure you've got the panels done. Okay, so we've got the right number of chains, and for our first row, we're going to start with a double crochet into the third chain from the hook. So double crochet into the third chain from the hook, and then into every chain along this row. So double crochet into every chain. I'm going to get that done and I will see you at the other end. So we've got, oh, excuse me, a bit of a croaky throat. So we've got our row of double crochets now. So now we are going to start with the crochet weave pattern. This is a 2-row pattern repeat. And it does require you to pay attention to what you're doing, and I would say it is more of an intermediate to advanced kind of pattern, as most crochet cables are. I have done a shorter tutorial on just the crochet weave pattern, so you can pick up on that if you need to, but I'm going to be showing you the exact same thing in this video as well. So you may as well stay here, I guess. Right, so we're at the end of our row of the double crochets. Excuse me, I'm a little bit ill. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit ill. we're at the end of our row. What we're going to do is chain 2, and these 2 chains do not count as a stitch. Okay, and then we're going to turn our work, and into that very first stitch we're going to put a double crochet. Okay, so we are now going to work on the next 4 stitches in the chain. So we work on 4 stitches at a time. Okay, so we're going to skip these first 2 stitches, and we're going to do a front post treble crochet. So we wrap our hook twice around this 3rd stitch. So front post means you go in and use the post of the stitch. Okay, and we're going to do a front post treble crochet on the 3rd stitch, and then we're going to do a front post treble crochet on the 4th stitch. Okay, just like so. Bear with me. So that is what it looks like at this stage. Let's move it over here a bit. Sorry, I'm taking screenshots for my PDF pattern while I'm doing this, so you're going to have to bear with me. There we go. Okay, and now we are going to do front post double crochets on the 1st and 2nd stitch. So on these 2 stitches, it's easy enough because you can see the stitches well enough, but it gets a little trickier as we move into the center of the row. So we've done a front post treble crochet on the 1st stitch, and now we're going to do a front post treble crochet on the 2nd stitch, like so. Okay, and that is what it looks like at the moment. Okay, so we're now going to work on the next 4 stitches, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Okay, we're going to do a front post treble crochet on the 3rd stitch, so we're going to skip these 2 here and do a front post treble on the 3rd stitch, and then a front post treble on the 4th stitch. Okay, and now you can see the stitches have fallen underneath a little bit, so you've just got to dig them out, stretch this out so you can access the stitches easily. So we now do a front post treble on the 1st stitch, and a front post treble on the 2nd stitch. And there you go, that is your pattern. Okay, like so. So the stitches are crisscrossed. Okay, and we're going to carry on working that 4 stitches at a time across the entire row until you have 1 stitch remaining. So I'm going to leave you to do that and get my row done, and I will see you at the other end of this row. So we've come to the other end of our first row, and we've just got 1 double crochet left, and in that stitch, sorry, we're going to do we're going to do a double crochet into that very last stitch, just like that. There we go. And that is the first row of the Celtic Weave pattern. Okay, and we're going to dive straight into the next row. So to start the row off, we chain 2, and again, this doesn't count as a stitch. We turn our work, and you can see that is the back of the piece that we're working on. This is not a double-sided pattern. You'll clearly have a right side and a wrong side on this pattern. Okie dokie. So for this next row, again, we're going to start with a double crochet in that very first double crochet. Okay, and then for these first 2 stitches, so you can turn this over and look at what stitches we're working into. So this entire row, we're going to be working in back post stitches. So we're going to start off with 2 back post double crochets. So back post, you'll come up from the bottom through and then out the other side. Grab your stitch, your yarn even, and then pull it all the way through like so. And that's your double crochet. And then we're going to do another one of those into the next stitch. And pull it all the way through like so. Right, okay, so now we are going to work on the cable pattern again. And again, these are all back posts, so we're going to skip these first 2 stitches. So you'll see these are the next 2 stitches. We're going to skip those and work on these here. Okay, so we're going to do a back post treble into this first stitch around this stitch here. And finish that treble. And then we're going to do another back post treble into the next stitch. Okay, so those are our first 2 stitches. We are now going to work a back post treble into these 2 stitches, okay? So we wrap and then we go around, so under all of these stitches and through the other side, grab the yarn there, pull it through all of the stitches. Nope, I dropped it. Isn't that just typical? I thought it was going so well. All right, so we've wrapped our hook. We're going under all of these stitches. Through there. I'm going to show you from the other side. Through there, pull it through. And then we're going to finish off our stitch. Like so. Okay, and then we're going to do it again for this stitch here. So we're going to wrap our yarn. I'm going to flip this. Okay, we're going into this stitch here. So I'm going to go up through that stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through everything, and then finish off the stitch. For me, back posts are easier when you flip your work so you can see what you're looking at. Okay, so we'll do it again. Oh, actually, let me just screenshot that for the pattern. There we go. Okay, so we're going to wrap our hook and we're going to skip these 2 stitches and work in these 2. So I'm going to flip it over and we're going to go back post into this stitch here first, pull it through and finish off the stitch. Okay, wrap our hook, flip the work into the next stitch, so that's a back post there, pull it through, like so. Okay, we're now going to be working into these stitches here, so we're going to wrap our hook, flip the work, and these are the stitches that we want here, so we're going to want this stitch here first. And again, wrap the hook, flip the work, and then this is the next stitch we want here, so we're going to go and grab it there. Okay. When you are working on this row, it is very important that you pay attention to where you're putting your stitches, and I will show you why now. So this is the first version of this that I made. And there it is. And I'm not showing you the right side. Hold on. Here we go. So here, because I didn't pay attention to where I was looking, you can see all of these single. So these are supposed to be 2 by 2. As you can see up here, that's 2 by 2, and it's done really well. But right here at the bottom where I wasn't paying attention, you can see individual stitches where I put, or where I picked up the stitch in the wrong place. So it's very important that you pay attention to what you're doing when you work these stitches. Okay, so let's do this again. I'll show you one last time, and then I will leave you to get on with the rest of your row. So, okay, we're going to wrap the hook and turn the work over, and we're working into these stitches here. So we're going to go under and grab the yarn, pull it through, and then finish off the stitch. Okay, wrap the hook, flip the work, and into the next stitch, like so. Finish off this stitch. Oops, like so. And then we're going to go into these two stitches here next. So we'll wrap the hook, flip our work, and then we're going to pick up this stitch here and pull the yarn through that. There we go, and then we can finish off our stitch. And then wrap our yarn, flip the work, and then pick up the yarn from behind that stitch there. I hope the way I've explained this to you makes sense. It makes sense in my head. If I haven't explained it very well, please let me know in the comments, and I will try and find a better way of explaining it. So that is what our work looks like so far. Let's move it over here so we can see it a bit better. There we go. I'm going to get the rest of the row finished off, and I will see you at the other end. So this is the back of the row we've just worked. We've worked right up to the end. We've got 3 stitches left on our row. So these first 2 stitches are just going to be plain back post double crochets. Doubles, not trebles. So back post doubles, like so. Excuse me. And the last one is just a double crochet, like so. Okay, we flip it over, and there you can see the full pattern of the Celtic weave. So that's your first 2 rows, and that's the pattern. The pattern is just going to repeat from here for those 2 rows. Excuse me. So you're going to need to continue to work these rows until your jumper is the length that you want it to be. Now, where is mine? There it is. So I made mine just over 40 centimeters. Yeah, mine was 45 centimeters long. So I made 2 panels, 45 centimeters long, exactly the same. So that's going to be the bulk of your work, honestly. So if you get that done, and then once you've got your panels, I'll show you what I did. So you lay your panels on top of each other, one on top of each other. You can't really see that. So on the tops, I literally sewed them together for 1 inch on either side. This is going to create the boat neck and allow your jumper to be off the shoulders. So 1 inch on either side of the top, that is all you need to join them. And then I measured how big I wanted my armholes to be. So, and then I sewed up the rest. So mine was, I think I made it 2/3 of the length of the jumper. So I think my armholes are, 30 centimeters long. But you make yours however big you need your armholes to be. Okay, so once you've got your 2 panels, lay them flat on top of each other. So 1 inch on either side of the neckline. This is going to create your boat neck, and it will roll, but we're going to put some stitches on it at the end. So 1 inch on either side for the top, and then sew down the side to join your panels together. And now we're going to work on the sleeve section. So once you've got your panels down and everything's sewn up, we're going to work on the sleeve. Now I've done the sleeves in a different color, like that. That's the color I've done it, and I've used just one plain stitch throughout. It's a very simple sleeve. It follows the shape of my arm, so like I said, a very simple sleeve. Starts off big at the top and then gets smaller at the bottom, and I'm going to show you how to do that on the other side here. So let me grab my crochet hook. So it doesn't matter which armhole you start on, they're both exactly the same. I like to join my yarn right underneath the armhole, and I thread I weave my end in as I'm working. So what I'm going to do, pick up and crochet. Sorry, I've got my yarn on the wrong side, hold on. Pick up and crochet single crochets all the way around the edge. And what I try and do is pick up a single crochet for every round of a double crochet. So a double crochet will create 2 single crochets, and then every chain stitch gets a single crochet. So I pick up, see, that's a single crochet, weave in the end as I go, and then that's a single crochet. And that's a single crochet. Okay, so that is how I pick up my stitches. Every round of a double gets a single crochet. A chain gets a single crochet. Every round of a treble gets a single crochet. So a treble would be 3 stitches. But there are no trebles around the outside. There are only double crochets around the outside of this. Because if you remember, you've only got chains and double crochets on the outside edges of your Celtic weave. So I'm going to pick up stitches all the way around, essentially making sure that that the sleeve itself is exactly the same size as this hole. It's not gonna, I'm not adding extra stitches to make it bigger. I'm not taking stitches away to make it smaller. So I'm picking up the stitches to make sure that this fabric, if you look on this side, it fits exactly, because I've picked up a stitch for every round of a double crochet or every chain. So that is what I'm going to do on this other sleeve. So I'm going to get that done, and I'll come back to you once I've got all my stitches. Okay, so I have picked up stitches all the way around the armhole, and I'm now going to work the sleeve. And the sleeve couldn't be simpler if I tried. So the sleeve is 1 stitch, is a half double crochet. And we're not even working in rows, we're working in continual rounds. So literally just, hang on, go through both sides of the stitch. Literally, and just that. Working around. Now I do a decrease every 3rd row. 1 decrease. We half double crochet 3 together right underneath the arm, and that happens every 3 rows. So I'm going to do it on the next row. So I'm going to get this row done, and then I will stop right before where I'm going to do my half double crochet 3 together, and I will show you the stitch. And then I'll leave you to get your sleeve done, because this is a, sit in front of the TV and just binge Bridgerton kind of sleeve. So Yeah, let me get round to the other side, ready to do my decrease, and I'll show you that, and then leave you to get your sleeve done. Okay, so I have crocheted around till I've got these 3 stitches. So one right in the middle of my join, and then I've got one on either side of it. Okay, and my decrease is going to be in the same place every time. So what I do is I wrap my hook, go into my first stitch, pull my yarn through. Wrap my hook, go into the second stitch, pull my yarn through. Wrap my hook, go into the third stitch, pull my yarn through. So it's a little bunch, okay? And then I pull the yarn through every loop of my hook, like so. And then I carry on working in my half double crochets. Okay, and this, I'm going to show you the other sleeve now. It's just a cute little decrease design as you go down the sleeve. So I'll show you on this one. So you can see the little decrease design as you go down the sleeve. Okay, so I do mine every 3rd row, and that keeps the sleeve is loose enough on my arm, but it keeps it nice and tailored down to my arm. Remember to try on your jumper as you're going. So if you're finding that the decrease is too much and your sleeve is too tight, decrease every 4 rows instead of every 3 rows, or even every 5 rows. If you needed that little bit tighter, decrease every 2 rows. It's completely, you work it up the way you want it. If you don't want your sleeves to be tailored down to your arms, you don't have to decrease at all until later on. It's completely up to you. This is how I wanted my sleeves to look, so this is what I'm doing. If you want your sleeves to look the same, I would suggest a decrease every 3 rows. And we decrease like that. It's a little cluster decrease. So that's it for now. I'm going to get the rest of the sleeve done. And then I will come back and show you what we're doing with the neckline. Right, so we've got down to the last row. This is going around the wrist. It's the last row around the wrist. We finished that last row. You can see that there's a difference between that stitch and that stitch. And what we're going to do now, in preparation for the finishing of the stitch of this row, which is a reverse crab stitch, we are just going to slip stitch into the next stitch, like so, and from here we're going to go straight into reverse crab stitch. So we're going to go into the stitch behind it, grab our yarn, grab our yarn, pull it through, and then pull through 2, and then into the stitch behind it, grab our yarn. No, I haven't gone into the stitch properly. So grab our yarn, pull it through, and grab our yarn, pull through both loops, and then into the stitch behind it, and we carry on like this all the way around the row. And the row's not big. We've got about 40 stitches on the sleeve, having reduced from where we started. I think I had about 80 stitches on the sleeve to begin with, and I've reduced it all the way down. Every 3rd row I've reduced by 2 stitches, and now we're just on the finishing for the sleeve, which we are doing reverse single crochet or crab stitch. If you want to see how this is done in more detail, there is a video on my page, a tutorial on my page, where I worked the reverse single crochet or the crab stitch on, I believe it was the fishnet duster pattern that I was testing for Lunar Still Gothic. But there is a separate tutorial on my page for reverse single crochet or crab stitch. It is, I use both terms just so that everybody knows what I'm talking about, but yeah, this stitch goes by both names. It's either reverse single crochet, which it's called that because essentially you are doing a single crochet in reverse. Instead of working from right to left, we are now working from left to right and doing a single crochet in every stitch. So it's either called reverse single crochet or the crab stitch. However you know it, this is how it's done, basically. So we're going to keep going around the sleeve. There's not a huge amount of stitches on the sleeve. Like I said, we've reduced the number of stitches from 80 when we started down to about 40 now. So we're just going to keep going with the reverse single crochet all the way around the sleeve. I'm not going to cut it and move to the end of the row as I normally would. It's not going to take that much longer. So while I'm working this, I'm still kind of trying to figure out how I am going to add that finishing touch to both the top and the bottom of this, of the front and back panels of this sweater. I have an idea in mind, but I'm not 100% sure it's going to work, so we're going to have to wait and see if I can do that when I rejoin the yarn around the neck next. So we're almost done with the sleeve. I think I've got about 10 or 12 stitches left. So like I said, there's not a lot of stitches left on the sleeve. This is going to be a relatively quick process. And you just get to hear me chattering away about nonsense until I get there. Unfortunately, the wire of my tripod is getting in the way and it's starting to wobble, so I need to move that out the way. Let's see where we are. Right, we're right at the other stitch where we started, and we're just going to slip stitch into that first stitch there, and then chain one and pull through. Okay, and that is the end of our sleeve. So we've got to thread the ends away now, but that is the end of our sleeve. Let's get that end threaded away. Got a big tapestry needle here. I don't think I need one quite this big, actually. Let's use the size of that into a smaller one. There you go. And then I'm going to fold the sleeve inside. We're going to go in that final row there, about an inch, and then we're going to go up the inside of the sleeve. There we go. And that is one end woven away. Let's do the other sleeve while I am here. So that's the sleeve. Let's grab the end. Snip that end off. And so we're going to go in through the reverse single crochets for about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. Do that first. That's nice and tight. And then we fold our sleeve up. And we're going to go up through these single crochets here. And I'm just following there you go, you can't even see it. So I'm just following the stitch pattern up the sleeve. You turn this back the right way around, you won't even see it. There you go. So that's our sleeves done. I'm now going to take a short break and I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so here we are at the neck for our jumper, and we are going to put some finishing touches on this. The first row is to join the dark onto the light, and then I think we're going to do a plain row of single crochets and then a row of crab stitch. But this is how we're going to do it, okay? So right over here, this is the shoulder join. So right in that shoulder join, right in that stitch there, I'm going to join our dark yarn. And we're going to do this right in the top stitch, like so. Okay, and now we are going to weave this end away as we pick up our stitches. Okay, and what we're going to do is so that's the first stitch. We're going to do, just loosen that up a bit so it's not, there we go. Okay, so that's the first stitch, and then we're going to do one, so that's two stitches so far, 3, 4, and then when we get here, this is in between 2 crisscrosses. Okay, we're going to go for a double crochet, but it's going to be a long double crochet. So we're going to wrap our hook, and we're going to pop our hook in underneath this second bar here. So we're not going to go into the stitch here, we're going to go into the second bar here. We're going to go in there, pick up our dark yarn and pull it through, and then finish our double crochet on the top. Okay, and remember to leave that quite loose so you can still work the stitch. And then we're going to work the next 4 stitches. So we're going to go, let me go pick up that dark behind it, so we're weaving away. So we've got 1, 2, oops, 3. So picking up all of the stitches of the little crosses. So that's 4. And then when we get here, again, we're going to drop down, we're going to wrap our hook and drop down to this below the second bar here, pick up the yarn and do a double crochet. So we're doing a long double crochet in between our 4 stitches. So we're going to do the 4 stitches for each of the little crosses on our design. 3 and 4. And then after that, we're going to drop down to this bar here. We're going to wrap our hook and do a long double crochet. So don't forget to pull your yarn through before finishing your stitch so that it is a long double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to do the 4 stitches again for the next cross. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do, we're going to do a long double crochet in between these 2 here, like so. Okay, and then again, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so this is what it'll look like. So you've got 4 stitches and then a long one in between, and this is just going to help blend the dark yarn into our light yarn and make it look more finished. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing that all the way around the boat neck. Now, when we get to these stitches here, you're going to want to fit a long double crochet in here. So on either side, you're going to want to fit a long double crochet in here. Whether you do it just off to the side of where you've sewn, on either side, doesn't really matter, but make sure you've got a long one on the seam for either shoulder. And keep going, picking up all the stitches around. I'll come back to you at the end of this row. Okay, so I have worked my way all the way around the row. You can see on this side I did a long stitch just on the seam there, and I'm going to finish up this side on the seam with a long stitch as well. So I'm going to double crochet just into this section here, like so, and then we're going to slip stitch into our first stitch on the row, like so. Okay, so as you can see, what we have done here is we have added in the dark fabric, and we've done it in a way to kind of blend it into the neckline. But what we've also done here is made the neckline stretchy, and our neckline is stretchy enough that we don't need that. So on this row, what we need to do is make our neckline a bit more sturdy. And to do that, we are going to turn 5 stitches into 3. Okay, so we're going to crochet these first 2 stitches, so 1, and so let's half double crochet these first 2 stitches. 1 and 2, and then these 3 stitches here, so we've got the long stitch and the 2 stitches either side of it. Okay, we are going to half double crochet 3 together. Sorry, I've got an extra stitch, so I need an extra half double crochet here. Sorry. So we're going to half double crochet these 3 stitches together. So wrap your hook, go in, pull your yarn through, wrap your hook, go into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, wrap your hook, go into the next stitch, pull your yarn through. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on your hook, and we are going to pull through all 7 loops, like so. Okay, we're then going to half double crochet the next 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and then here we are again. We are going to half double crochet these 3 together. So wrap your hook into the stitch, pull your yarn through, wrap your hook into the next stitch, pull your yarn through, wrap your hook into the next stitch, and pull your yarn through. And then pull your yarn through all of the 7 loops that are on your hook. Okay, and again we're going to half double crochet the next 2, 1 and 2, and then we're going to do this again. So wrap your hook into the stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, wrap your hook into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, wrap your hook into the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then pull through all of them, Okay, and we're going to continue to do this all the way across our row. So we've got 2 half double crochets, and then it's like a cluster stitch, puff stitch. So we go into the first one, we wrap the hook, go into the first one, grab your yarn, pull it through, wrap your hook, into the next one, grab your yarn, pull it through, wrap your hook, into the next one, grab your yarn, pull it through, and then pull through all of them. My yarn is kind of tangled here, bear with me. Okie dokie. So we then have 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, and then a little puff stitch, cluster stitch, half double crochet through together all over again. So wrap your hook, put it through. We don't have a long stitch here. Oh dear. So it looks like, okay, so this one is only going to be a 2 together because we don't have the long stitch to go with it. If we can do it twice through 1 stitch, like so. There we go. So there should have been a long stitch there to be able to do it. So we've just done it into 2 stitches instead of the 3. So 1 and 2. Let's do the next one. So wrap your hook into the stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, wrap your hook into stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, wrap your hook into the stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through all 7, and then 2 half double crochets. And you're going to continue to do that across the entire row. So I'm going to get that done, and I will come back to you once my row is finished. So we've got around to the beginning of the row, the end of the row. This is the very last puff stitch, half double crochet 3 together stitch that we have to do. So let's get that done together. We're going to wrap our hook, go into the first stitch, grab it, pull it through, wrap our hook, go into the second stitch, wrap it, pull it through, get into the third stitch, grab our yarn, pull it through, and then we're going to grab our yarn, pull it through all of the loops on our hook. It's a little bit more difficult on this one, and then I'm going to slip stitch into this very first stitch of the row. It's actually the second stitch of the row because we've just put the first stitch into that decrease. So there we are. I'm going to pull this a little bit tighter, so the loop a little bit longer, because I am going to put this jumper on to see how it fits now. Okay, so I've got the jumper on, and this is what it looks like. I'm very happy with that, actually. I was going to do like a crab stitch around the top of the jumper, but I don't think this needs it. I think it's beautiful just as it is, actually. Let me come up closer so you can see it. So I think that is a beautiful finish. And what it's done is it's given a little more structure to the garment so that it doesn't slip down. It doesn't, I mean, it rides up. If you lift your arms up, it's going to ride up. But it allows you can do it like a one shoulder kind of thing. You know, it gives you options as to how you can wear it, but it's a sturdier neckline that we're not gonna, yeah, I think that's done the trick for it. But yeah, this is the jumper. I'm going to do a little bit similar to this top line. I think I'm going to do along the bottom line, where we just do a row of sort of half double crochets and then longer double crochets in between, just to blend it all together. So I'm going to take the jumper off and get that done next. So this is the finished Celtic Weave sweater. I'm in love with it. What do you guys think? Are you making one for yourself? If you do make one for yourself, please tag me on TikTok or Instagram. I would love to see you guys' creations. Happy crocheting!